Oh goodness, that was some eclipse, wasn't it? Welcome everybody to a new video um, from self-professed narc abuse escapee. But what I'm learning is that so many people, so many adults have actually come to the realization that they grew up in an environment that really thwarted them. And some of us had it really violently, and that is important to note. But people who have had messed up childhoods based on parents with limitations and bossy tendencies and or promiscuity or drugs or just being too young to know how to handle a child and using verbal insults at them like they were teenagers, but they weren't. They're little kids, impressionable little kids. This applies to those people too. We're all coming into our own, and it's about time, right? So I was born in the me generation. They later X'd us out. Speaking of which, that was the eclipse, the X, which is a beautiful runic sign of partnerships, new beginnings. We're in new beginnings. I went to the eclipse of 2017, August 21st, and I saw it with my good friend Michael, and I have a video. I'll link it in the description box or in a comment I make, as if anybody pays attention. If you pay attention, let me know. So this time at the eclipse, I'm pet sitting. This is my pet sitting gig. And there's a tuxedo cat, and then there's a red tabby. Those are my favorites. Tortoise shell cats, tuxedo, which are the black and white ones, and red tabby, but they all pale in comparison to the Manx, which is my #1 favorite. And that's a breed from the Isle of Man. Look into it. I had a Manx cat that came and lived with me in August of 2003. Sorry, 1983. And she rescued me from being alone. She was a spirit animal. She came during the monsoon season in August. It was, it was 83. It was a lovely year. My sister had gone back to West Point. My brother lived out somewhere. Maybe he was there too. But I lived on the property that the parents have, my mother has to this day. And it's referred to as the properties. There's a story there. But I lived in one of the duplexes units. So 2 duplexes originally, but now there's 3. And so that's duplex. What does that mean? It's one roof and everybody shares a wall. And throughout the house, so essentially it's 2 places to live under one roof with their own separate apartment. So that's when Elpo came to see me and stay with me for the rest of my life and sleep on my head on the pillow, like right here. She would sleep right here. I've got stories about her. Oh, you guys would love it. She actually thwacked my children's father's penis and drew blood. She was trying to tell me something. But as a result, I have 2 children that are both really unique, and I love my son, and I get to be a grandmother. So, my cat was a cat, and she didn't like what she saw, and she was expressing herself, which is what I'm getting to. We all finally get to express ourselves, as long as we give ourselves permission to, and recognize that so many of us, whether or not we had that tragic childhood, back on subject, is we've all had a childhood in which we've had to unlearn something. We've all been in a society that tells us what to think. I argue online with the young thinkers that think if it's on the internet, it's true. I'm the me generation. One of the top 5 popular videos is We're Not Boomers, Jen Jones. Well, that's a term I didn't even use then. We're the me generation, and we're all going to go into the me generation. And I think it's about time. Moving energy. It's about time we all moved our own energy and owned up to our energy, manifested our energy. And so here we go. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example of what it's like to be in a home of a toxic parent. So my mother always wanted to rush things, rush, rush, rush. She was like a bull in a china closet, as they say. She rushed my father, calling him too slow. Rush, 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 always rushing. And she would create such a disruptive force that people would become flustered and take longer than what they would have before. In fact, I myself forgot to put a bra on for a very important track meet when I was a rising senior in high school. And rather than run the 200 meters, I ran the 100 meter. We did it in yards, however, 220 yards versus 100 yards. I loved running the 220, which is a half of a track. A track is a quarter of a mile, or the 440. So I ran the 440 in a relay, and I ran the 220, which was my sport. I'm not a fast twitch muscle person, so I didn't run the 220, and the girl that won I had beat by no problem before in 2 other meets. So I missed the opportunity to run in the 220, even though I could have beat her in my best times, and all my normal times I always beat her, and I knew who she was. I didn't go into it because I forgot my bra, and my t-shirt was white and my nipples would show. This is a true story. You'd be like, hey, Kat, tell me that story again about that track meet when you did the 220 time that beat everybody, but instead you opted for the 100-yard dash. And there's more. Somebody had put sand in my lane. And I slipped on the way out, and I got second, and this really fast girl, who I was fast too, but somebody put sand in my lane. Our lanes were pre-assigned. And when I left, the guy came out and brushed the lane off. No effing lie. I got good stories, and they're all true. I don't know how to lie. I've heard Mark Twain is quoted as saying, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Well, never let being ashamed of telling the truth get in the way of telling the truth in a good story. That's what I say. So, my mother was always rushing us, and it affected me badly. And it's taken me years and years and years to decondition from that rush, 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 like being in a hurry, like always being on time, being ahead of schedule, rush, rush, rush. Like, I like to take my time before I go places. I like getting ready. And I learned that when I lived in Arizona after I got my cat, Elpo. And when I met the woman who would be my mentor years later, 3, in my story, LA Girls, which is about how an Ivy League athlete level in New Hampshire could end up in a peep show showing what OnlyFans girls do. But it was back when, 1982, 83. I left that. I did 8 months of that, 7-8 months before I realized that I actually could dance. And why was I showing my vagina when I could actually dance? And I will tell you, men will push it all the time. That's their nature. And they do confuse the adult entertainment industry for promiscuity. If you show it, you must actually let people do something to it. No. Did girls do that? Yes. Did I? No. Guess what I did? My specialty, since I love talking. I was the phone sex girl. Yes, I was. I'm telling you a lot because there's a lot to unpack here. Giving you permission also to own up to yourself. To recognize also, I was born in 1963 in the me generation. And it's about time you learned how to do it as well. So it means saying, oh my gosh, I love taking things easy. I had a parent that rushed me too. Always rushing me to this event and that event. My siblings had to go here and there. Always this stress, always this hurry. We rode our bicycles everywhere. I was in Little League. I was at 12 faster than most of the boys. They didn't actually catch up to me until 13 when their T, the testosterone kicked in, like 5th, 6th grade. 6th grade was when the boys became as fast as me, and I was still faster than most of the boys in track. If I raced against the boys, I would be like in the dust. But compared to other guys, I wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, it's not about me. I'm not trying to brag. I don't know how I went off on that, but I really did like running. And if you follow my channel, you'll know that I first learned to run fast to actually get away from real danger before moving to the sticks of a small village. We lived in the suburbs of a small city in New Hampshire, and I did have to run to get my body free from harm by the Dubois brothers, if they're still alive and haven't killed each other yet. They were a bunch. But moving from an environment, and this was when I was under 5 years old, to an environment that I could relax. I don't even remember my mother, except she would, during my first 5 years, very little of her doing anything physically nice. One time going to the grandparents' house, sleeping on her lap between her breasts. I think I was a kindergartner. That probably was the last time I ever slept in her lap. I could have been 4. This was back before seatbelt laws. And I was in the front of the van. Or it could have been that blue station wagon. I don't remember. It all melts into one. I just remember her soft breasts and how women are so hard on themselves, but children don't care what you look like. They care how you feel. And that's what I'm learning, is what all of us can be moving towards, is how other people feel, not how they look. Stop using your eyes to pick out a mate, guys. You're so conditioned. I'm a natural woman, no makeup. Get used to it. That's what women actually do look like. I think that it's time we realized it. But I don't care whether you do. I don't care whether you don't. I just am suggesting that men stop using their eyes to pick a mate or their dicks and actually use something else. And let's not talk about the toxic female right now. I don't know anything about her. I wasn't born then. I'm the me generation. I was born in 1963. I'm the original snowflake. Okay? wasn't pissed off about it, unlike the Fight Club. I'm a snowflake. I know I'm special. I know I'm unique. I know it. And finally, the rest of the world's on top of it. But I do use it. Like if I'm speaking out there, this is funny. I like this. If I'm speaking out there in YouTube land and somebody says, okay, boomer, I say, F you, snowflake. Because I know it's something of an insult to them. But if somebody says, hey, you're a special snowflake, aren't you? I'm like, yes, I am. I am a special snowflake. You got that right. I own it. I'm a special snowflake. And so are you, if you want to be. Get to know yourself. It took me so long because I had all these narcissists in my life. And I just kept letting them lead me here and there in all this different way. Because I really like sex. So my sexuality and my propensity to really loving a physical relationship kept me in relationship, even with these toxic relationships. But I'm going back and forth. Everybody that comes to see me is going to be coming from a different walk of life, I would hope. Yeah, we all do. Keep the comment section nice. I clean it up if somebody is really off topic and insulting. But I do allow for fair commentary and oppositional viewpoints as long as it's not confrontational and bullying. Because it's my playground too. And that's what we're really looking at. Oh, here we go. Okay. I've been saying and quoting people, all the world's a stage, but the actors upon it, the stage, whatever. Well, all the world's a playground. All the world's a playground. If you were born in my generation, we got dropped off at the playground. And then we didn't go inside until the bell rang. In fact, we were kept outside in cold, cold weather, no matter what, until the bell rang. And I'm not complaining. So we also had recess, and then we also got to hang out outside rather than sticking in homeroom. And we all got to play outside and then wait for the buses to come. When the bell rang, we left the building. Nobody stayed in the classroom. We all were outside. They put you all inside, and then they've made it so you think that Wikipedia is the end-all be-all. And I'm primary source material for the critical thinker, which means in 1960, I wasn't born. In 1963, I was born. And the baby boomers ended. And 1960 was a shift. And I'm post-1960. I'm the me generation. So essentially, Gen Z, you are me. You are now attuned, and now you okay. Just follow along, and you'll see, and you'll realize, oh wow, she's speaking my language. Yeah. So, keep listening, share with people, have discussions, and recognize when you're young, and that's where I'm going with it. I'm not trying to be like you and hip. I don't need to spill some tea, talk about tea's hot. I don't need to have any of that language. Have your own language. I don't care. I'll understand what you're saying when I'm in your sphere and in your auric field. But anyway, okay, it's not about the words. It's this message. It's that you are bringing in and what it is that I have been amplifying, and I'm happy that you are. So welcome. Welcome to my channel if you're Gen Z, and you can be a snowflake, but I am the me generation. Motherfuckers and fatherfuckers alike. I am the moving energy, and we're going to move the energy that we had in our fields that wanted us to be a certain way because we were cajoled and conditioned into it by the not who we are in access consciousness. It's like, is this me? Is this really me? No, there's so many things that aren't us. There are thoughts that aren't us. There's so much to talk to you about. All right, plug in. We'll talk later. Happy eclipse, post eclipse, and be ready for your life to go on a journey that is fun and interesting and healing. Forgive your parents. God bless them. Unless they're narcissists, in which case you can actually don't feel called to bless them. Alleviate them from your life. It's okay. Life is good and we're all learning, but I don't ever necessarily care about anybody else's learning but my own. I'm just so excited about sharing it that I'm sharing it. And you all catching on, and I'm excited. All right. Long live, lots of love.